Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast, and I want to talk about when comic conventions are going to come back. This is, culturally, it's a big deal for the comics world, but not only that, it's a big deal for pop culture. The current trend of nerds being cool, like all of that, celebrating movies that everyone's tired of watching, all this kind of stuff. Comic conventions are good for, and the question is, are they going to come back in 2021? So I'm going to get into this. First off, though, check out Fatal on Indiegogo right now. It's in the description below, and seriously, one of the best looking comic books that you're going to find anywhere. Amazing looking art by Charlie Snogans, and fantastic story, if I do say so myself. Also, if you're interested in following Downcast on, through Alterna Comics, you can pick up issue number 1 right now. These will be shipping very, very soon. All right, let's see. Here we go. So, will comic conventions return? I can already tell you. So, Jimmy Palmiotti posted this, shared it. Dan Panosian said 2022 is even iffy. It's going to be that long, guys. But I'm going to tell you, I think things are drastically about to change. Why is that? That's because presidents have changed. That's why. I think that there's so much politics involved with how careful we are around COVID that things are going to drastically change. Now, I'm not one of those people that's, I'm not like a COVID denier. It exists. I've seen the facts and the figures. It exists. But I think a lot of the hysteria around it has been absolutely political. And now that is about to shift. So 2022, I don't think so. I think basically what we're looking at here is kind of like the COVID shutdown, essentially, when it came to publishing books. At the time, I said, it's kind of like we're playing a game of chicken. Every publisher, and enforced by Diamond, said that they weren't going to be publishing comic books anymore because it was the right thing to do and they cared about people and yada, yada, yada. Again, political reasons. So they shut things down. And then how long did it take before people started publishing comics again? Was DC the first? And Alterna Comics was still putting out books. But for the most part, people kind of waited. DC started doing things themselves, releasing things digitally. That eased things in. And then eventually people just got back to publishing. Did anything change from the beginning of the pandemic until they started publishing comics again? No. In fact, COVID numbers were far worse. Far worse. It was a much more widely spread virus when they started publishing comics again than it was when they initially stopped. So how did that help save the industry? How did that help with anything? It didn't. It just stopped people from making money. So that's one. Lockdowns are still in effect in many states, and in some cases they're more severe than they were at the time. Why are they not stopping publications now? It doesn't make sense. Okay. That's the first thing. Second thing, remember how crowdfunding was not a good look. You remember that? You should not crowdfund your comic book while there's a pandemic going on. And what it took was, as far as the industry goes, the mainstream industry, is it took Sean Gordon Murphy to go ahead and launch his crowdfunding campaign. It was pretty successful. It took that, and then suddenly everybody else was crowdfunding again, and it became a great thing, and they wrote articles about how it was Kickstarter's best year yet for comics. You remember that? So what leads you to believe that conventions are going to be any different? Now, you could say, well, they're in person. That's the difference, dummy. That would be rude. You could say that, though. But there are so many other events that are actually happening, in-person events with people wearing masks. Grocery shopping shopping happens. People are constantly around each other still, and it has been the case. It's been the case for months. So I think that the first convention to decide that they're going to have a relatively large convention, I don't think they're going to be as big as they were right off the bat, but I think the first convention to do it will put in some measures in place to make everyone feel a little safer. Masks, checking temperatures, whatever. They're going to pick some things, some set of things to make people feel a little bit better. They're going to do a convention and people are going to be dying to go. They're going to sell out tickets. And that'll essentially be the cue for everyone else to follow suit. And you'll see conventions happening again, regardless of a vaccine. That is my prediction. But who cares what I have to say? Let's see what IGN has to say. When will Comic Cons return? Industry experts weigh in. You can't call them Comic Cons, though, because San Diego Comic Con will sue you. It's my local convention found out. So basically, this is just speculation as to when it'll happen. But I can tell you, David Glazier, Chief Communications and Strategy Officer of Comic Con International, says, I don't think anything is off the table. Meaning, this year, it could happen. He said, but scenarios can change rapidly. Money will make everything change. Political will make everything change. Guys, Garth Brooks sang at the inauguration, there's 100% unity now. Now that has happened, guys, Garth Brooks sang. Now that has happened, that means that, COVID has been healed. It'll be better. Trust me. And then if I scroll down here, you can also find that Jimmy Palmiotti himself was quoted in this article. Now it makes sense why he shared it. He said he expects shows to be scaling down even after they're back. The packed venue conventions like New York Comic Con and San Diego will not be back until at least 2022, if that, he predicts. Just don't see the business model of the past having any staying power anymore. And honestly, I wouldn't go if the place was like it was. Excuse me. Well, I agree and I disagree. On one hand, I definitely don't think they're going to be packing as many people in, like cattle. You ever been to a convention like that where you're shoulder to shoulder, it feels like a rock concert or something? I don't see that happening. I see them finding a way around it or making conventions longer so they run for a longer period of time and you buying tickets for different days so they can kind of spread the event out. Perhaps there's a few different things that they could do, but this is revenue. You're talking about companies that are basing their entire revenue off of events. They're going to find a way to have events. They will. It's been a year. They're going to find ways to do it, but I'm sure that they will be different. And again, they're going to find ways to do it where they can, again, remember crowdfunding, how it was a bad thing. And then by the end of the year, it was a fabulous thing, that everyone should be doing. The same thing's going to happen with conventions. It'll just be, how do they get there? How do they get to that narrative without causing a big ruckus, basically? So I can tell you, I checked out FanX, this formerly known as Salt Lake Comic Con. Salt Lake Comic Convention is scheduled to happen in the fall. It looks like in September on the 15th and 16th so far. I'm debating on if I should go to this as a creator. I have every intention to going to conventions and trying to sell books and learning the ropes. And I want to know how the convention scene works and how you can pick up new readers if you can. And if not, I just, I want to have fun doing it. It's one of those things I want to check off my list. So I'm interested to keep an eye on this and see if it actually happens and what kind of things they have in place. I'll keep you posted, though, if I do decide to go, if you happen to be in Salt Lake and want to go. I can also tell you I was 100% planning on going to a convention last year and to meet up with Peter Samedi and some of the other alternate guys and have a convention over there. I think it was called Plastic City Comic Convention, something like that. So I'll keep you posted, but I'm really curious to see how things move forward. Let me know your thoughts. How do you see conventions moving forward, if at all? Is it really going to be a whole other year before you see conventions happening? Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. And check out Fatal and Downcast. That's everything I have to mention. Thanks, guys. See you in the next video.